Welcome back. In this session, we are going to learn about landscape design principles. As per my understanding, design is a process where we apply a set of rules or principles to a given situation to arrive at a solution. In our context or scenario, we the solution we want is a functional and aesthetic solution. So, what are these principles that we can apply that any person can apply? They don't. It doesn't have to be a creative or maybe some sort of art inspired. It just has to be plain and simple principles. So, what are these principles that a person can apply to create beautiful and functional landscapes? This brings us to the visual principles of landscape design. Now, if you search for the phrase principles of landscape design or principles of design, different sources are going to give you different sort of different heads or different terms. But more or less, all of them are centered around the six phrases or six terms that I have highlighted over here. Few sources may also give a few extra number of terms, but for the scope of this course, let's keep it simple and plain. Let's just concentrate on these six principles. These are unity, simplicity, variety, emphasis, balance, and rhythm. All of these together, they form the language of landscape design. So what it means by this, we will discuss in the coming slides. So basically, these six principles, if we apply it to while designing our landscape, it is a given that we will have a conventionally or decently designed landscape. And if you think about the inverse, we can critique or we can, if we're looking at a particular landscape or a picture or any design for that matter, if we can analyze that design based on these six principles, we can understand why we like that design or what we don't like about it or what is not working in that design. So let's go through each one of these principles one by one. Unity. So unity, by the word, when you hear the word itself, you understand that it means oneness or togetherness. Okay. So what we are trying to say by the principle unity is that a landscape, however large or small it may be, it should have a sort of a common ambience or a common aesthetic flowing throughout it. So the cohesive and unified appearance of a landscape. If you take a look at the picture to the right, it's a very linear landscape, okay? And there are a number of buildings that are on either side. But all through the landscape, you can see that it doesn't, from one end to the other, it feels like a single landscape. It doesn't feel out of, nothing in this landscape feels out of place. The character of the pathway is the same, the color and the type of planting that you see around is the same. So there is that unity in all the elements that they have employed to create this design. It is creating a sort of harmony within the design. So how they've done, as I've said, how they've achieved this is through repetition of elements, color schemes, textures, and etc. Unity refers to the successful integration of diverse elements, achieving a visually cohesive and functionally harmonious whole. So there's nothing complicated in this. To simplify what's written there, whatever the elements that you choose, whatever the different solutions that you are applying, or whatever the concepts that you are selecting for your design, it should be applied all through your design. Okay, every element of your design should have some relation to each other. The shape of the plants, the color scheme that is there from one end of the design to the other, the shape of the softscape, the type of pathways that go around the landscape. All of these things should have some relation to one another. The next principle that we're going to look at is simplicity. Now, if we take the case of simplicity, any landscape, and like I said earlier, any design for that matter, it need not be landscape. It can be an interior design, it can be a building, an architectural design. Okay, it could be even just a poster that you're designing on a laptop, or it could be a drawing that you're making on a piece of paper. All of that should have an element of simplicity. The more just see what we're trying to do, yes, all landscapes should have creativity and is sort of an artistic expression. Yet if we put in lot of different elements, lot of different like sometimes you see modern art. Yeah, I'm sure all of you are familiar with modern art at some point of time or the other. So modern art sometimes brings in a lot of jarring elements, and lot of things happen on the artwork that you're seeing. But in a landscape, it has to be much more simpler. When you're walking through the landscape, when you're experiencing the landscape, it should not overwhelm the user. As in, they should not feel that it is too much. It should feel very light. It should feel very inviting, and that sort of an ambience will create very beautiful landscapes. So let's read what's the points shown here. It says avoiding clutter and focusing on essential elements creates a sense of calmness and order, allows each element to shine and tells its story. So now throughout the all the presentations that I'm taking through this course, I have chosen a number of pictures of landscapes and that I'm accompanying with the presentations. So please look at each of these pictures and see how see, even though some landscapes may be very simple, as in very there will be nothing, it'll be very empty. Some landscapes will have a lot of richness, a lot of elements inside it. But if you look at it overall, okay, it work all of these landscapes works. It feels good, it feels inviting, because there is an element of simplicity inside it. Okay, even though there are quite a few elements, they have chosen the elements very wisely and very carefully, not to make the user feel too overwhelmed. So, see, in most of the landscapes that we, or not landscapes, yeah, like the gardens or avenues or promenades that we see in India today, by and large, they have this kind of planting called monotype planting. That is, if you take the case of roads, or any, maybe it is a gated community, maybe it is a highway. If you take the sides of the roads, they will repeat the same type of planting. Again, the shrubs, the same shrubs, color shrubs will repeat maybe for a few hundred meters. Then maybe there will be a tree coming, then again the same type of shrub will repeat. So this is called monotype planting. So that is, like, you can say that is too simple. Next, now with the new thinking that is being applied to landscape design, people are starting to add a bit of a little bit of spice into the design. That is by we will have repeating units, but it will not be the same plant that is repeating. It will be a set of plants, or a segment of plants that is repeating again and again. So if you take the case of this middle section that you see here, this segment that you see on the left side is repeating again and again. So even though that repetition is there, that is creating the simplicity in that highway or that road, even within that, there is one sort of variety that they have added. So to keep it simple, yet keep it fresh. Now, the third section that you see here, this section, what I have, as per my understanding and as per what I have experienced, these kind of planting designs are only people with designers with a little more courage will attempt these kind of designs. That is, see, it is not the same plant, or it is not the same number of units that is repeating again and again. What is repeating is the character of the plants that they're repeating. So overall, they are maintaining the simplicity, but at the same time, for example, see, if you can see this picture that I'm pointing to right now, this plant and this plant may be sharing the same form, but it may not be the same plant and it may not be the same color. Similarly, if you see this pyramidal tree here and these shrubs over here, they may be, one may be a tree and another may be a shrub, but the texture, that is the leaf structure, may be the same. So in this way, they are having a sort of repetition in the landscape. And in this manner, they are keeping things simple, but at the same time, they are having, it is having a sort of excitement while viewing the landscape, that particular design. This comes to our next topic, that is variety. See, like I had said earlier, variety is the spice of landscape design. Okay, so why we are adding variety? It is to prevent boredom when walking through a landscape design. So imagine this picture that you see at the right side, from one end of the design till the other end. If it was the same kind of planting on the same pathway, one same long stretch of pathway that was going all around, a person walking through this landscape wouldn't feel excited, or it wouldn't invoke any feeling in them. So in order to to give that user some sort of a special feeling or ambience, a different feeling, we add this principle called variety into the design. So how can we achieve variety? Variety can be achieved by using different plant heights, different textures, colors, forms, and so on and so forth. So we'll be discussing how each part of this in the future sessions. So in this image, the section above, you can see there is variety shown inside it, but it's a control type of variety. So you can see that it is the same form of plant. It's these round plants. Inside that, there is slight change in difference of the plants, as well as a slight change in texture. Yet, if it is too less, it will create a monotony or boredom. But if it is too much, take a look at the section at the bottom. At this bottom, you can see plants of different shapes. There's a pyramidal plant, there's a columnar plant, a vase-shaped plant, different types of plants, and it doesn't feel harmonious. Okay, there is too much happening within that landscape or within that particular scene, and that is not also it is creating a lot of confusion for the viewer. Okay. So, see, when I say creating confusion, so all of these things are very, how can I put it? Like very subliminal feelings. Like when a user, no, I'm not talking about a designer, when a user is going and standing in such a landscape, that is a landscape that is creating confusion, they will not literally say that they are creating, or they will not feel actively that they are this landscape doesn't look good, it is having a lot of confusion, but they will feel it. Okay, subliminally they will feel it. They may not feel comfortable standing there, or they may not feel like enjoying that moment more. Okay, so it is the duty of the designer, okay, our duty, to make use of these principles in order to make the user of that landscape subliminally comfortable. Okay, so in this way, we are creating the mood of that landscape. We are controlling the consecutively, we are also controlling, or we are enhancing the mood of the user. Emphasis. Now, till now, we have been talking about repeating elements and how unity should be there, how variety should be there. But in certain parts of the landscape, there should be some areas, or some focal areas where there is a something that will throw the user out of their comfort zone. Okay, suddenly they should feel sudden surge of excitement should be there when seeing a particular part of the design. This is again a trick or a technique that landscape designers use in order to create a sort of interest or excitement for the user. So if you take a picture, take a look at the picture at the right, you can see a very dense, natural, tropical, jungle-like landscape design. But suddenly, out of nowhere, there is a red door there. It may seem out of place, But at the same time, if you think about it, that red door is perfectly and very tastefully placed within that landscape. It is not, though it is standing out of that design, it is not feeling ugly. It is so when a user will look at it, they may think, okay, that is special. What's happening there? Maybe I want to go in and see what is happening at that behind that door. So this kind of feeling or excitement, that is what we're trying to achieve through emphasis. Okay, so how do we do that? We can achieve emphasis by the use of change in size, color, contrast, or placement of vegetation or hardscape structures. So you can see above the section that you see, it is a very monotype planting, but at the bottom there is a similar type of repeated pattern that you can see in the planting and the understory. But suddenly when you come to one area, there is a pyramidal type of tree. Yeah, so that is suddenly creating a change, a complete change in that monotonous landscape, and our eyes or our attention will be drawn to that particular tree. So focal points attract the eyes and adds emphasis, preventing a balanced and unified design from feeling dull. So you can see this in this photograph that I'm shown over here. It's a very green and very horizontal kind of landscape. When I say horizontal, it's like all the plants are below one level. It's all very horizontal. It's at at a human scale. It is at or below the eye level of a human. But suddenly at one location, there is a completely different object that is there. That is that large tree with the red foliage. So that tree is going to attract the attention of the person who is experiencing that landscape. Balance. Okay, now what we are trying to do here is, however unified or repeating patterns or whatever, all of these kind of principles we apply, there should be a sort of balance that is there within the landscape. Okay, that is, see, the picture that you're looking at right now is a very symmetrical balance. That is on both sides of that stairs that you see at the center. What you see on the left, the same type of planting has been repeated on the right side. Okay, so there is a sort of stability to that picture, stability to that scene, and that symmetry or that stability will invoke a sort of calmness, or that the user will also feel a sort of safety and stability while using this landscape. But how more can we achieve this sort of balance or visual equilibrium? See, there are different methods of doing this. There is symmetrical method, that what we saw in the previous picture. There is asymmetrical balance that we'll see in the next slide, and there's also radial balance. Radial balance is what we see in this image at the right side. You see this circular kind of this design, this planting that you see. It's not necessary that it has to be circular. Even a lot of landscapes, for example, the charbagh concept, okay, that you see in Mughal gardens, or a lot of the gardens that you see in the French garden style, all of this have this kind of a radial symmetry to them. Okay, this radial symmetry will also in the user, it'll give them a kind of stability, calmness. It will make them feel so. But at the same time, these kind of landscapes, if we want to provide this sort of balance, as well as if we want to provide variety, what do we do? Like emphasis, what do we do? This is where we have asymmetrical balance. So the image that you see at the top, this is showing symmetrical balance. So the planting that is there on the left side of the picture is similar to the planting at the right side of the picture. But if you take a look at the section at the bottom, okay, the left side and the right side, the planting is more or less different from each other. But at the same time, there is a sort of balance that they have achieved. So how did they achieve that balance? See, on one side they have this tall pyramidal tree structure, and the other side they have a shorter, but they have a shrub which is having some sort of yellow bulbous flowers or fruits or something. So what have they done? They have this tall structure on one side, they have balanced with a thicker and more colorful planting scheme on the other side. So in a way, when we look at it, it is balanced. Let's take a look at a photograph which again shows us this. So if you take a look at the right side of this image, you can see that there is a lot of textures, lot of colors and rocks and lot of things happening over there. Yeah. On the left, on the right side, on the left side, what you see is just one single tree, which is having this vibrant and rich yellow foliage. Yeah, one tall tree. So if you analyze this picture carefully, this one yellow and thick tall tree that you see on the left balances out these shorter stature vegetation and other structures that you see on the right. Okay, so what you can read here, balance goes beyond symmetry. It creates visual and emotional harmony through the arrangement of elements in weight, color, texture and depth. So this brings us to the end of this session. So like we said earlier, we have six principles that we have covered in this session. These six, even when you are designing any landscape, okay, see, sometimes it is not possible that you are going to achieve all six elements, all six principles. Maybe you may see at least conventional wisdom says that at least if you can achieve 3 to 4 of these principles in while designing your landscapes, you will create a landscape that is basically good. Okay, it is even though there is not much wild creativity or uniqueness to it, it will be a landscape which is pleasing and comfortable for a user to use. So that at the end of the day, that is what we are trying to achieve. On top of that, if you can superimpose your creativity and art, then you will create much more how can I put it, exceptional landscapes. So let us in the next sessions we will also learn about some concepts that we talked about here, like using form, texture, color, etc.